All right, episode 2, BBFCCAST. Gonna get right into it. I'm Gavin, Bobby Brink fan club. We got Ant with us.
What's up, everybody? How's it going? Excited for episode 2.
All right, so we're gonna get right into this because this has been a wild week. So Monday night, me and Ant were at the Penguins Flyers game. Most of you guys know this because you follow us. And news broke: the Flyers traded Cutter Gauthier for Jamie Drysdale and a second round pick. Automatically, we think that the Flyers are trying to do something that they don't need to do. And then it comes out Cutter Gauthier doesn't want to play for the Flyers. What an absolute bitch. I know we've talked about it already, but it's just a nuts scenario.
Yeah, I think the crazy part about it was the news broke in the first period. Nobody knew in the stadium besides like a few people in our section. And obviously, everybody that saw it wanted Danny Briere's head in the first period, not knowing that Cutter didn't want to play for the Flyers. I mean, if you look at the trade, obviously you lose your number 2 prospect behind Mitchkov, and everybody's up in arms about it. I, for one, was waiting for them to put it on the screen, on the big screen, and then everybody was going to go nuts. But that didn't happen. Then in the third period, it came out that he refused to play for the Flyers. And that is something that I don't think anybody saw coming. I think that is still unbelievable. But I think it's just so funny how everybody watched him in the World Juniors and was so excited for him. And then immediately, in a span of 20 minutes after a story came out, absolutely hated him. I think that's nuts.
Yeah, and I think the way the Flyers, first of all, the way the Flyers organization handled it was great. What Keith Jones said on the broadcast made me laugh because, I mean, you don't want to be a Flyer, you're not going to be a Flyer. And that's
exactly.
I love that that's that mentality. They're not trying to repair anything. They're not trying to get anybody to switch up and be cool with the Flyers and hey, we'll do this if you play for us. No, you don't want to play for us? Get the hell out of here. And I think that's great by the organization. And as far as Cutter goes, I just think that he's passing up a great opportunity to play in front of a city that really wanted him here. I mean, the World Juniors went on. Anytime that kid did anything, we lost it. We went bonkers for this kid. And I just think that why would you want to go play in Anaheim where there's not a lot of fans? Hockey really isn't Anaheim doesn't really care about sports because they have if you're a fan down in California, are you picking the Kings, the Sharks, or the Ducks? 99% of people are saying the Kings because they're the most successful.
Exactly.
And I just don't understand what his view was there where he wants to play for I guess it could be Torts, but again, you fit Torts' play style. That's what we need, a power play guy, power forward type player, and you want to leave for seemingly no reason.
It's just soft. It goes back to the thing. I know we talked about this. It goes back to exactly what I said last week. I was praising the young guys last week for being able to kind of handle being benched and bounce back. I talked about Forrester, and I mean, look at tonight. Tonight, as we're filming this podcast, game is against the Wild, and Bobby Brink is scratched for tonight. So we'll see how he bounces back. But I think it just shows that he just couldn't handle that. And the craziest thing to me is he wasn't even in the NHL yet. You haven't even touched an NHL rink and you're already complaining about GM coaching style. It just shows what kind of person he is. If I'm in that situation, I'm a massive Flyers fan. Say I'm in that situation and I get drafted to the Penguins. Is it ideal? No, but I'm going to play my heart out for that organization because that's who made my NHL dreams come true. You haven't even stepped foot in the practice facility yet, and you're already not talking to the general manager or president of hockey operations? That just shows what kind of person you are.
Another thing I want to bring up really quickly is the fact that people are saying that this is revenge for Eric Lindros. There's a glaring issue with that statement, and that's that Eric Lindros didn't want to be drafted by the Nordiques. He told the Nordiques, do not draft me. Exactly. At the draft, there is a video of Cutter Gauthier saying, I was born to be a Flyer. I'm so ready. Yes. I love the organization. I love the city. I love the fans. If you're going to lie, I don't know if maybe he was telling the truth, but if you're going to lie like that and then go and backstab a team, you're just doing it for attention. I don't know a world where something like that actually happens. I understand that Eric Lindros one still doesn't make any sense. But again, he didn't want to play in Quebec. It's whatever. He didn't want to play there, but he warned the team not to draft him. This team spent 2 years trying to make a system for you, and then you go and backstab the team and say, hey, I don't want to play for you. I don't like the coach. I don't like the GM. Fuck you then. Get out of here.
Exactly. It's nuts. It's just like going back on, and I'm not going to pretend like I didn't love him. Obviously, everybody loved him until he got traded and the story came out. But like even at the draft, like he does a video post draft and he talks for 5 minutes about how his favorite player, Sidney Crosby, and how he shot pucks into the dryer like Sidney Crosby when he was like, come on, dude. Like you got to know your audience. So he says that, and it's like, all right, clearly he's not really like in touch with reality as far as like the fan base. It's just like things like that make me think we're going to be better off. And as much as it sucks, as much as it sucks, like maybe transitioning a little bit into Jamie here, like we got a great return. And one thing I will say while we were talking about what Keith Jones said is honestly props to the Ducks general manager and the other GMs that we talked to throughout the league, because something Keith Jones said really stuck with me, that they kept it quiet. If the GMs around the league would have said that Cutter didn't want to play for the Flyers and that story broke out, we would have probably been lucky to get just the second round pick. So to get that second and get Jamie as well, like as much as we probably are going to talk down on the Ducks just because Cutter's there, like props to their GM for keeping things classy, which you don't really see a lot these days.
Yeah, and I think, again, I just think that Jamie Drysdale literally said, the fans, he said it was the loudest stadium he's ever played in any level. And like I was there, I was at that game, and there was people that were saying like, why would you never want to play for this guy? He started on what day was that, Wednesday night?
Yeah,
he started on Wednesday night, and when Lou Nolan announced his name, it was the loudest I've heard that stadium for like a player introduction. It was loud in there. Like it probably wasn't as loud as when like Bryce Harper got announced for the Phillies, but like it was a pretty good thing. Like standing ovation. Every time he touched the puck, we cheered. And like not even a lot of people kept it about Cutter either. Like there was people doing a fuck you Cutter chant above us and whatever. But I think the fan base is kind of over Cutter at this point. And like, yeah, they're going to talk about it for a bit because it just happened Monday. But I just think that it's more about Jamie now. And I like that Torts did that in the interview the day the trade happened. He wanted to talk about Jamie. He didn't want to talk about Cutter.
What I was gonna say.
And I just think that Jamie Drysdale's a really good fit. It's a need. So yes, Cutter Gauthier, like he could turn into an absolute star in the league and be a player that the Flyers could have used later down the road. But they also needed something now. People forget the Flyers are competing for a playoff spot.
Exactly. 100%. And I mean, one thing too I'll say before we kind of get into the playoff spot is, I don't know if you saw this at the game, but I was watching it on TV. The Flyers even flew Jamie's parents out to Philly. Jamie's parents were at that game.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they were at that game. They showed them in overtime a lot. When Jamie had those two shots, they showed his parents on the TV. It's just like, I think the biggest way we can basically like give an FU to Cutter is just to treat Jamie like with all the love in the world. Like I think obviously when Cutter comes to Philly, it's going to be nuts. Like that's the only time where like I say, you know what, let's put it on Cutter because he deserved it. But I think the biggest way to kind of screw him over is just to treat Jamie with so much love and show him like this is what you could have had and more. Like everybody loved you. Everybody was so excited for you to come to the NHL. And then to do that to us, like we're going to show you what you could have had. Right. And to be honest, the Ducks fans aren't going to give him what we could have. I know that sounds.
There aren't a lot of Ducks fans to begin with.
No, and with the Ducks fans that there are, not to hate on Ducks fans, I don't personally have anything against the Ducks. It's just they don't have the drive that we do. Like you said, Jamie said it was the loudest crowd he's ever heard. Is Cutter really going to go to Anaheim and say that was the loudest crowd he's ever heard? No. I'd make an argument that the Swedish crowd at the World Juniors is going to be louder than the Ducks fans. Yeah. So it's just things like that. Like it's just I don't get it.
And I do want to add one more thing about Cutter asking out. They couldn't get in contact with him or his team. So the Flyers have Danny Briere, former Flyer, Keith Jones, former Flyer, John LeClaire, Flyers legend, John LeClaire, and Patrick Sharp, former Flyer. To disrespect a group of people like that, players that have played in the league and have played on this team, it is a huge, huge character issue. And it is seemingly like I care more about my career than actually winning in the NHL. I could put up 1,000 points in my career, but if I win a Stanley Cup, it's not that meaning. If I don't win a Stanley Cup, I don't care because my career was good and that's all that matters. Like, no, you want to win. If I was in the NHL and maybe like I'm sure players care about performance because you want to do the best you can. But I'm sure a guy like Jamie Drysdale, he wants to come to this team and win a Stanley Cup. He doesn't want to come to this team and put up a 1,000 points because if he puts up 1,000 points, it may lead him to a Stanley Cup. But if it doesn't, then what does it matter?
Exactly. It's just, I don't know. Cutter seems like a me type of player.
Yeah,
and it's tough, and especially with the ignoring the organization. Like, it wasn't even just Danny. Like, you want to give Cutter the benefit of the doubt. I mean, that happens all the time. You see it a lot of time in the NFL where players have issues with GMs. It was the entire front office. It was the entire organization. You wouldn't talk to any of them. So, like, what are you supposed to do there? Like, we did the best we can. The Flyers put in as much effort as humanly possible. And I mean, props to Danny. It came to a point where he had to make a move, and he made a move for an offensive puck-moving defenseman who we desperately
don't
need.
have.
He's still young. Yes, he's been injured. But again, if we can keep him healthy, he has potential to be elite. He was the 6th overall pick. He's great on the power play, which takes pressure off of Zamula. Like, there's so many positives that he brings for such a crappy situation. Yeah, so I'm very, very happy with it.
Another thing that the Jamie Drysdale trade does is it gives the Flyers a little more leeway on who they can play at defense. I personally think Sean Walker is going to be traded sooner than later. I don't think he stays on this team the whole season. It could be Risto, but Risto, we would have to retain salary, and they're already paying Kevin Hayes and Tony DeAngelo. They retain salary on both of those guys. You don't have 3 guys that are retained salary because then you're paying guys that aren't playing for your team. But I will say the Flyers, like me and a guy in accounting today were talking, and it was like the Flyers have $30 million more in cap space than like the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Colorado Avalanche. Like, the Flyers can go out and buy people, but if you keep retaining salary, you're screwing yourself for the future because it's a 7-year contract. You're going to be retaining that salary and paying him for at least 5 more years. And I just, for one, I don't see why the contract ever made sense, but that was Chuck Fletcher and you can't really do anything about it anymore. But I also believe that now that Drysdale is on the defensive core, I think that Sean Walker is just not fitting anymore. Like, Sean Walker was the guy that comes up on the rushes and like very good defenseman. I personally, I mean, I don't hate Sean Walker. I think he's a good player, but I think they could work with the 6 of Sanheim, Drysdale, Sealer, Risto, and then who am I forgetting?
Zamula and
why am I blanking?
We forgot. You say Cam York?
Cam York. I don't
and
know
then
why
you have Mark Stahl scratched if anybody gets hurt or anything like that.
Yeah, and Mark Stahl is one of those guys. Like, if a guy like I know and knowing Torts, they scratch a bunch of guys all the time.
You'll get Mark Stahl.
Mark Stahl's going to play. So I just think that if the Flyers want to make a move, it's going to have to, and they want to get something back, it's going to be Sean Walker because, I mean, the way he played this first half of the season, he was really good, but I think he's fallen off a cliff. So it'll be interesting to see what Danny does about that.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think he's fallen off a cliff. I just think that he had a really good first half of the season, to be honest, and he wasn't really that caliber player. I think if you stack Risto against Sean Walker, I think just player versus player, I'd rather Risto go, but when you bring it into the current situation, I think Risto's going to have to go. Like you said, maybe 30 minutes before we got on the podcast, Walker is more similar to Drysdale than Risto is. Risto's that big body defenseman. So if anybody's going to have to go, I think, like you said, it'll probably be Walker. And I think, too, like, as far as the retaining salary goes, like, we're not an organization like the 2021-2022 Arizona Coyotes who are just a complete salary dump. Like, any player with a terrible contract went to the Coyotes. So there's no need for us to
They
just
still do that.
exactly. There's no reason for us to trade a player like Risto and retain salary. We're not going to have to retain salary for Sean Walker. He was cheap. He wasn't expensive, and we signed him in free agency. So
Now, I do think that Risto won't be on the team come the start of next season. I don't see him leaving this season.
I agree.
Whether they buy him out or they do, I think the option the option that they should take is trading him and retaining salary. But you should wait to do that until you have something else in place, because right now it's like Ristolainen could get traded, but then somebody can go down, and it's like, well, we're retaining salary when we could have just been playing the guy for his full price, and which we really need. Because if somebody goes down after one of the defensemen get traded, I would prefer Louis Belpedio or like Ronnie Attard or even Emil Andre to come up, because I don't trust that Mark Stahl is going to play good D. I know he went to the finals last year. It's just I can't watch Mark Stahl play hockey.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about Mark Stahl. He's a great guy in the locker room, and he's a guy that can come in if you get somebody hurt or if you want to scratch somebody because he's not playing well. But everyday defenseman, I'm all right. I'd rather not have to watch that. Yeah. But I mean, as far as Risto goes, let's be real. You're going to have to retain salary one way or the other. He's not staying here for as long of a contract as that is. That may be one of the worst contracts in hockey.
Yeah,
but and I think you do it in the off season, and you're in a much better spot because you can make more moves. You can cover yourself. Yeah, but trading him now doesn't make much sense.
Because we keep talking about it. I do want to get into it really quickly. Like people. So I've been getting a lot of people, because today is the Friday that the Flyers play the Wild. This will be out tomorrow. The Flyers are playing the Wild tonight, and Bobby Brink is a healthy scratch. Now everybody's asking me, like, how do you feel? Like, are you mad about it? Originally, I was a little mad about it because obviously, it's pretty obvious, but I'm not gonna I will defend Bobby Brink through everything, because obviously I run the fan club. I mean, I'm probably his biggest fan. But I do it's the Philly mentality. If you're not playing well, take a day off. I understand it's his hometown and he probably really wanted to play in front of his hometown, but you'll get there again. You're going to play in Minnesota again in your career, probably next year. But Bobby hasn't been playing well. I mean, we saw him in the shootout against Columbus. He had that horrible shot. We'll get to that game in a minute. And then I know Wednesday night, he wasn't stick checking. He was losing the puck. When he had the puck, he wasn't doing anything with it. I just think he needs a day to breathe. He's very, like Torts said today, he's very inconsistent. And I don't necessarily disagree that he doesn't necessarily have a spot guaranteed in the NHL if he keeps playing the way he is right now, because you want him to develop. Bobby Brink's going to be a great player. Torts knows it. Danny knows it. Everybody in the organization knows it. That's why they drafted this kid. But I just feel like something is going to cause the Flyers to not send him down. I don't think he's at the point where he's going to get sent down right now, but it's going to be interesting the way they do it. I just don't know who would play over him, because, they played with 11 forwards last night or 2 nights ago.
Yeah, it's tough to not overreact. Obviously, we're the Bobby Brink fan club, so it's hard. But I do agree. I think he does need a night off. And I've read what Torts said, and I understand it. You're in the NHL. So he was asked whether Bobby playing in front of his home state has any, is involved and has any play or whatever. And he said no, because it's the NHL. It's not intramural hockey. You're not little kids. You're professionals. Yeah. And I kind of agree with that. You playing in your home state shouldn't determine whether you play or not. So I agree. He hasn't been playing well. Give him a night off. Now, I am a little worried about the whole sending down thing. I don't think he'll be sent down because, realistically, who would you rather want in your lineup, Rhett Gardner or not playing 100% Bobby Brink? Obviously, Bobby Brink. So I don't think that he's going to get sent down. Because, the other options are Lixel, Hodgson, Wade Allison, who I hear is not playing well in the AHL.
Nah, Wade Allison's fallen off the earth since that 2021 year.
So I don't think he'll be sent down. It's just him finding that consistency. And, he's still super young. And Torts gave him a ton of respect. He said I respect the hell out of him. He's a great player. He's going to be a great player. But again, he has to find that consistency, and I'm fine with that. He's being held to the same standard as everybody else, which shows that Torch respects him like everybody else.
Yeah. And now I do want to get into the games that we went to. So
Yes.
Monday, I will give a humongous shout out to Tommy Webb.
Yes,
The
Tommy,
main
well
man.
done.
He is the whole reason we were at that game. I don't know if I necessarily want to say why. I don't know because I just don't want people going to him and like
Yeah,
talking to him about that. So pretty much what were we? Section 104, we were 123
yeah,
and we were 8 rows off the ice.
nuts.
Very bad game to be at if you want to see a lot of goals because the Penguins got out to a 2-0 lead and then Tippett scored and they went downhill from there. But it was a very fun game. Like it was a loss and it was a brutal loss, but it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of Penguins fans there, which made it even more fun going back and forth with them. And a lot of the Flyers fans, like we were having fun, like screaming, like just screaming because we were mad, but it was really fun. And then I should probably get to last Thursday. We didn't talk about that one either.
Mm-hmm.
Last Thursday, we attempted to do a tailgate, and I would sure love if you would talk about it.
Yeah, so I mean, we put out that we were going to do a BBFC tailgate because it was a kind of bigger group. So it was me, Gav, Carson, and then a few of the other BBFC members, kind of like core members. But it was a random Thursday regular season game against Columbus. So like there was really nobody there that wanted to tailgate. It was also freezing. We got there at 4:30 and we were going to set stuff up and it was just so cold, so windy.
We also forgot the tables.
Yeah, so it didn't really work out. But that is why we are planning a bigger one for the Stadium Series game. So we're going to plan things. Yeah, hopefully we're going to plan things out weeks in advance, bring stuff. So it'll be a lot better. But the game itself was fun. It was a good game back and forth. We were in one section and the other half of our group was in the other section.
Until so we were in section 205 and our boys were in 115. We didn't plan it. We just so happened to be going to the same game together. So we all met up before the game and we are in our seats. And during the game, we scored in the first period. So we were already going through that. And then I spot 3 open seats. Now it's me, Ant, and Carson. And Carson is like, are we going to try and move down? And I go, well, I see 3 open seats right in front of our friends. So we go down. Nolik sends us our tickets. Nolik is Bootleg, for those of you who don't know. And Bootleg sends us a ticket. And we go down and we're sitting right in front of them. And people are like we were like bringing the energy to the section. It was awesome. And we stayed there the whole game. We were probably closer than we were on the Monday game.
We were like probably like 6 or 7 rows off. I thought that was so funny too, because there was a row in between us and our other friends, and there were these 3 old guys, and we were telling them all about the fan club, and they
know Bootleg, and they were like, "This is the Bobby Brink fan club." Like before we could even like say anything, they were like, they got his fan club, and they were telling us like Bobby needs to score now because we were down there, and he didn't.
Yeah, I mean that was so much fun sitting down there until the infamous Bobby Brink shootout attempt.
Oh, that was just I'm sure everybody saw it. People, I mean, it's posted on the post after the Columbus game.
Commentary by yours truly.
Not the best moment.
No, I mean, I guess I was really excited. You know, I was locked in, ready to commentate, and then he pulled that out. I mean, I'm assuming he was trying to go 5-hole, except
I think he was trying to. I don't know what he was trying to do, but I just know I know he fanned on the shot. I know whatever he was trying to do just crumbled once he fanned on the shot.
Yeah, and it's tough because you want to say my famous saying, "You'll take the point," but I mean, last place team.
We were up 2-0 in the third period as well.
Yeah, that was a tough one, but it happens. Still a fun game to be at. And then Monday, I know we were talking about it. Monday was the most fun I have ever had at a loss. The Flyers fans were so cool. We met those kids. So we met kids before the game for warm-ups that were from Canada.
They were dressed like game. On the bench, the Instagram, the social media people. They had these New Brunswick flags, and Couturier, I guess, is from New Brunswick. Like he lived there at some point. And we were trying to get a puck from him. We did get a thumbs up from them, and they were pretty hyped about that. And they were telling us like, our goal tonight's to get on the jumbotron if we don't get a puck, and they did. And me and Ant lost it. We went nuts.
Yeah, those kids were so funny. I was waving at Coots and he saw me. That I pointed at the flag, and he saw them. But yeah, those kids were so cool. It was cool
Yeah,
to meet them, and they were kids like you talk about like kids who act like adults. Like, didn't you get that vibe from them? Like we were
yeah.
having full
They
on
were they were
conversations
like
with them,
yeah
and they
they
were
talking
little.
like they knew what they were talking about.
Yeah, they were pretty little.
Yeah. Now I so Ant it wasn't at this one. I went to the game with Carson on Wednesday. Shout out to I need to find his name real quick because I kind of forget. I think it was his last name's Kaufman. I know that. Hold on, just give me 1 second. Seth Kaufman. I thought his name was Sean, but Seth Kaufman, the absolute legend. Literally 2 hours before the game, somebody in a group chat of mine contacted the group chat, and was like, does anyone want to go to the game tonight? Like, my boy's giving up tickets. And I was like, immediately jumped on them. I want to go. I want to go. I want to go. And we get there. And that day, the hoodie that I had posted on the post was made. And I pretty much took it off and put it up on the glass. And during warmups, Bobby came over and he turned and looked at us, and he looked like he was so locked in that he wasn't really like paying attention. But he saw it because he smirked and then like shook his head, and he gave a big slap in the face, kind of. He gave people like right next to us, like literally two people away from us, gave them a puck. Now I've already gotten a puck from Bobby Brink, but it still would have been like awesome to get another one. Like now, like because I mean he knows us at this point. We're at so many games. We advertise it every game. We put on our Snapchat at Bobby Brink Fan Club and then put it up on the glass, and he sees it every time. And I think the players are pointing it out to him too. Like I know, like obviously at the North Jersey game, we already talked about it, so I won't
Yeah.
get too much into it. But like Zamula told him about it. I know Forster was having a laugh at it the other night.
Forrester thinks it's hilarious. Every single game,
Yeah, because Forster and Bobby are best friends.
Forrester might like it better than Bobby does. He thinks it's hilarious.
I think Bobby just doesn't know how to respond to it because he's like, why would anybody do it? Because I mean, it is a crazy thing to do. Like, I'm sure, like, because I mean, this account was inspired by the Josh Sweat fan club. If you for some reason don't follow Josh Sweat fan club, please go follow him. His content's amazing.
My favorite Instagram page besides BBFC.
Yeah. And he like, I'm sure because he has a video with him meeting Josh Sweat, and Josh Sweat comments on all his posts. I'm interested to know what Josh Sweat thought about it, because Josh Sweat wasn't like, Josh Sweat was a Pro Bowler last year, but like he didn't like, I mean, he wasn't crazy when he first made the account. And I'm sure like the guy's like, why out of all people, like there's a lot of skill guys on this team, like a lot of really good guys. Like, why would you pick me? I think Bobby feels the same way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think he's probably just a little awkward right now, but he'll get there. I mean, he definitely thinks it's funny, and that's the goal.
Yeah, I mean, and he does seem like an awkward guy because, like, the locker room video after he got the dog, the game in Colorado, I think it was the game in Colorado.
Yeah.
He got the dog and he's like, great job, guys. We won, so that's good. Like, he just seems like that type of guy. Like, I don't think he'll come around to it quite yet, but I mean, it'll be good.
Yeah, so just to go back to the sweatshirt thing, I know a few people commented in our Discord and on the Instagram that they loved the hoodie and they wanted to know where they could get one. So unfortunately, we couldn't sell that hoodie because
Trademark.
trademarks,
Very bad
yes.
trademark violations. I do
Yeah.
not want to be sued.
Yeah, but some news, we are making BBFC merch currently. So we're going to have a site where you guys can buy stuff. I know we're taking a bunch of suggestions in the Discord. If you guys are listening to the podcast and aren't
And
in
if
the
you're not in the
Discord,
Discord, join it. There's a link
Yep.
in the first highlight on Bobby Brink Fan Club. It's a great community. We have a bunch of people in there. We've got some regulars that are always typing in there, like Flyers Hill. I don't know first name. Allie's another one. Obviously me and Bootleg. A couple other people are in there. And we talk about a lot. So I just don't want to. I don't want to get too deep into that. But just join the Discord if you have it.
yeah, it's been like a week and we're already like pretty much a whole friend group. So
Yeah.
fun times. But if you don't want to join the Discord or if you don't have Discord, you could always just DM the Instagram account if you guys have any suggestions for merch. But I know we're trying to work out things such as hats, maybe beanies, some t-shirts, hoodies, maybe like a vintage tee if we can do something like that.
Yeah.
So we're working on a bunch of stuff. Hopefully we have that up so when it comes to later in the season or maybe even in the coming weeks. I know I am familiar with the website we're going to use, and so is Bootleg. So hopefully we can get that up as soon as possible.
Yeah,
But just a little
and
bit of a merch plug.
with the earnings that we do get, I don't know even know that I told you this, and I contacted Flyers charities over email.
Hmm.
I don't know that they're going to get back to me, but either way, because I do want them to be involved in it if possible, but I mean it's run by Comcast.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's going to be like something that they get back to, but no matter what, 50% of all earnings for merchandise will be donated to Flyers charities, and maybe we'll have people in the future suggest charities that they want us to donate to, but that's a big part of it because not only are we selling merch, I mean, it's awesome to make money off of stuff like this because I mean, just a few months ago, like we didn't have anything like this. Like it's a great thing to do,
Hmm.
but it's also something that we can do with like a community and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even about the money. I just want the merch. Like, to be honest, it would be so funny to see just a bunch of people wearing BBFC merch at like a Flyers tailgate or a Flyers game or something like that. But yeah, whether we have to go through like email or I know, like I think we talked about this last week, how we're planning on going to the Flyers Carnival this year, if we can somehow get in contact with them. But no matter what, we are going to donate 50% of the proceeds. So money is going to a good cause and is also Flyers related.
Yeah.
So we will be advertising heavily whenever we get the website up.
Yeah. And it is going to be a little tough because I mean, we can probably do something with Bobby's face on it, but it is going to be tough because a lot of the stuff he is wearing, like Flyers merchandise, and obviously you can't put like
Yeah.
trademark shit on a website like that and sell it because I mean, that's copyright infringement. But it's just there's going to be a lot of stuff on there. We're going to see what we can do. The hats are going to be, I think, my favorite thing because our plan with the hats, and I don't want to spoil too much, but the plan with the hats is to just make them look like a golf hat.
Hmm.
And I think those are going to be really fire, and I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, me too. We're gonna have a lot of it's gonna be like just BBFC related, but we are gonna definitely find a few ways to get like Bobby's face on stuff, whether it be like a shirt or something.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that.
All right. Now I want to get into the Eagles. The
Yeah, let's do
Eagles,
that.
yeah, because there's a lot to talk about. Wild
Oh
card
my
weekend's
God.
coming up. Monday night, 8 p.m. is the game, which is bullshit, by the way. Monday night wild card game. Nobody wants that.
I
Not
agree.
a single person in this entire world wants a Monday night wild card game for like I like even if the Flyers make the playoffs, they're gonna have to play during the week. I would hate it. I don't want that to happen
I know, dude. It's
because like
terrible.
it's terrible. And then you have to wake up the next morning and like you can't even get any of your anger out because you just go straight to bed if they lose. But I do want to talk about the playoff matchup. Now everybody's given up on this team, rightfully so. I think they have it this week.
Um, I don't know. I was feeling better about like what Brandon Graham said and what Jason Kelsey said, and then I saw a picture of Baker Mayfield at practice with Zins in his pocket, and now I fear it's over.
I did not see that. That's news to me. That is
I
crazy.
fear it is over.
Um,
Baker is dialed.
Baker's hurt. I don't believe Baker practiced, and I know a couple of the other guys are hurt. I'm not off the top of my head. I could pull that up, but I don't want to waste too much time. Um, I know like Jalen's hurt, AJ's hurt, Devontae's hurt, but I think they're obviously all gonna play. Season comes down to this, you can't not play.
Exactly.
Um, but the Buccaneers, they just struggled against the worst team in the league in a pretty much a playoff game. I mean, if they lost that game, they didn't make the playoffs.
Hmm.
I I don't have a lot of hope for the Eagles, but I will say this. If the Eagles defense can get three stops in the first half and they can score on three drives in the first half, they'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of worried. I just pulled up the injury report. So Baker didn't practice yesterday, neither did Tristan Wirfs, but they both were limited participants today.
Okay.
So, I mean, they should be good. Chris Godwin didn't practice today. As far as the Eagles go, the three players that didn't practice today were Sidney Brown, who is out for the
He's
year,
out for the year.
AJ Brown, and Reed Blankenship. AJ and Reed also didn't practice yesterday. I know
So if
Reed is
Reed's
his
out,
groin. I
if
know it's
Reed
Reed's
is
groin.
out, who's playing safety is what I want
Maybe me or you, I guess. I don't
to
know.
know. Josh Jobe, I guess he was a safety, right?
Oh my God. Oh
Maddox,
my God.
Maddox was a safety. Maybe they. I don't know how they would do this though, because Maddox is a nickel corner. I don't know who was playing nickel corner. I wasn't really paying. I guess it was Eli Ricks.
Probably Eli.
I wouldn't be shocked if for some reason Matt Patricia plays Avonte Maddox at safety, and then we have James Bradbury and Keely Ringo on the outside and Eli Ricks on the inside. I would be fine with that. It's just can Eli Ricks cover?
Yeah, I don't know. Slay was a full participant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Slay's back. Okay,
Slay Thursday, Friday, full
then it's gonna be
participant. So
Slay, Bradbury, and then they're gonna rotate
Ringo
probably
and Ricks
Maddox,
probably.
Ricks, probably Matt. If I mean I don't know who else would play safety because who else are the safeties? Kevin Byard is
Yeah.
the only
Well,
other one.
Reed, I think Reed will be okay to go. It is his groin. I know he didn't practice the last 2 days, but I think he will be okay to go. But
I'm just
because
trying to
again, it's
figure
the
out
game's
who plays
Monday.
safety.
Yeah, the game's Monday, so
Yeah.
he does have some time.
Oh
He has
man,
lunch.
that's ridiculous. I just looked at so Monday we have Rockets Sixers at 1 p.m. and then we have Flyers Blues at 8 and Eagles Bucks at 8:15.
Well, that's ridiculous,
That's just a bunch of malarkey, especially for me because I obviously am going to watch the Eagles. It's a big game.
especially for me too, dude. I got to go back to school Monday night.
Oh yeah.
Yikes!
Um, it's all right. There won't be a problem next year when we're living together. But
You're right.
um, I'm just trying to figure out who's going to play safety. Who else is taking snaps at safety this
I'm
year?
looking at the depth chart right now. There's nobody else, so I'm
It's
assuming it's
I'm
probably
this.
going to
Yeah, I would
be.
assume he's going to play.
Has Bradley Roby played safety?
God, I hope he doesn't touch the field next week. The way dude, the tackle attempt that he had,
That
like,
was the most pathetic thing I've ever
oh my
seen.
God, I know. Now, I did just see this, and I wasn't planning on talking about this because I honestly forgot about this. But the Eagles have a stud coming next year. You know that, right?
Go on.
Remember Isaiah Rogers?
Oh, yes,
Dude, he was a
yes.
stud in Indy, and if he can keep that up, that's the Bradbury replacement. I think Slay will stay. I
I think so
think
too.
Bradbury's gone.
Yeah, I think Bradbury's going. But yeah, Isaiah Rod, did we sign him or did we trade for him? We
We
traded
traded
for him,
for him. They
right?
traded
That's what I thought.
like a fourth round pick for him, and everyone was like, "Why did they trade for a guy that's suspended?" And then they realized, "Oh, this kid's really good."
Yeah. So he'll be here next year. I'm interested to see what we do in the off season. I really am, and especially the draft.
I
I'm a big NFL draft guy. For those of you
Yeah,
that don't
and did a
know,
full 7 round mock draft last year.
I think my favorite moment from the draft is when the Eagles drafted Moro Ojomo in the seventh round because I had him going to the Eagles in the seventh round. So props to me.
Yeah. Um, I think before we get into the offseason, I do want to talk about the game because
Yeah,
I feel like everybody's kind of jumping to conclusions like what's going to happen in the offseason. This team is still competing for a Super Bowl. People are forgetting that.
yeah, that's
Every,
nuts.
I'm telling you, every team in the NFC playoff, besides the 49ers, the Cowboys, and the Rams, are first round exits. I don't see any team that is really good enough in the NFC to win the Super Bowl besides those three teams. I personally
Yeah.
have the Rams winning the Super Bowl. I think Stafford is going to go on an unbelievable run, and that's my standpoint. Everybody thinks I'm stupid for that. I don't know how you feel on that, but
I could see it. That wouldn't be my like number one, but I could definitely see it happening. I mean, they have the weapons to do it. They have so many weapons. So I could see it happening. I'm just excited for the Super Bowl as a whole. I
yeah,
know,
because
yeah,
you'll be there.
you know this, but nobody else knows this. I will be at the Super Bowl this year. I got an internship through the NFL, so I will be working at the Super Bowl this year, and the game is on my birthday. So really excited
Yeah,
for
you
that.
lucky asshole.
I was really praying that the birds would get there. Currently, it's not looking like it, but hopefully they
Any
bounce
given
back.
Sunday, or in our case,
You're right.
Monday.
Any
Um,
given Monday.
but the Eagles like they if they lose this week for one, Brian Johnson's automatically gone. I
The
don't
fact that Brian
agree.
Johnson has two interviews as a head coach is unbelievable. And
Oh
I
my
will
God, I
say
know.
that is the most Titans thing to do.
Yeah,
If the
really.
Titans hire Brian Johnson, that's the most Titans thing to do ever in the
Didn't
history of the
who was the
NFL.
other team? The Panthers?
Yes, the Panthers.
Yeah, that would be a Panthers thing to do because Dave Tepper's a. I'm not gonna say anything more, but
You
um,
can infer what Dave
yeah,
Tepper is.
Monday night. I think if they win or lose, I think Brian Johnson's gone. No matter where they go, if their offense could put up 50 points in the Super Bowl, I still think Brian Johnson is gone, whether he gets a job or not.
Yeah, I agree.
But
Unless they consistently put up like 45 points and the offense just magically looks fixed throughout the entire playoff run, I think he's
yeah,
going either way.
but what's it called? I think they do have a good shot to win this week. I personally think Nick Sirianni will be back next year. I don't see a world where he's not. I think next year is the year for Nick Sirianni. If we don't get our shit together, he's gone and he should rightfully be gone. And it might even be in the middle of the season if it gets that
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, I think next year is definitely a prove it deal for Nick. I agree with you, Gav. I wouldn't let him go. I do think that it could happen in the middle of next season. I think next year we go into the season as he's not really on the hot seat, but there's definitely
He's got a
speculation.
lot on the line. Yeah.
One report I saw this morning, I woke up and I thought it was fake. Why is Colin Cowherd talking about Bill Belichick coming to the Eagles, dude?
Colin Cowherd.
I can't stand that guy.
Colin Cowherd has never been right about anything. And I was literally thinking about this because I did see that post that you're talking about. Colin Cowherd, he has a commercial that says, no matter how many times I'm right, you still won't agree with me. Well, because you're
He's
never
never
right. How
right.
are we supposed to agree with you?
How does that man have a job? He's like the Joey Sly of sports
Oh
commentating.
my God, I know. We talked about that last episode.
Yeah. Dude, he
Um,
doesn't ever have a good take.
I know it's bad. The only way I'd be cool with Bill Belichick coming is if he's the DC, but it's never gonna
No,
happen. He's gonna
he's
be a head
never
coach.
gonna. Yeah, if he doesn't just stay retired and just enjoy the rest of his life smooth sailing, and he actually comes back to the NFL, there's zero way he's going to be anything but a head coach.
Yeah. More about next season. I think we're gonna see a lot of guys gone. I don't think Jason Kelsey is one of them. I think we're gonna
You think
see
he's going to
James.
stay again?
Yes, I think he's gonna
I don't
stay.
know, dude.
I think that guy is going to play until he cannot physically play anymore.
I don't know. I feel like I really feel like this may be it. I didn't feel this way after last year, but just with the way this season has gone, I feel like you can kind of see it in him. Like you can kind of see that he's winding down. But one thing I'll say about him is he always has that fire in him. So
Yeah.
I guess I wouldn't be surprised if he stays.
I I think and I want Fletch to be gone
Yeah.
because I'm sorry, I love Fletcher Cox, but he is part of the reason the Eagles get no pass rush. I say it every game.
Yeah.
If you look at the defensive line, at the offensive line blocking the Eagles' defensive line, Jalen Carter is doubled. Hassan Reddick's fighting to get off the edge because he's facing a tight end and a tackle,
Hmm.
and Josh Sweat sometimes gets there, sometimes he doesn't. Jalen Carter is getting doubled. Fletcher Cox can't get off any blocker. I mean, we were lucky to see him get that strip sack against the Cowboys, and it you just need a younger guy there. I would have rathered last year the Eagles kept Javon Hargrave and let Fletcher Cox go because
I
Javon
agree.
Hargrave, for one, was a beast.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand why Fletch is still even playing. I think he should have retired.
And I love Fletch. I do. But sports, like we said last week, is a business. Like he's just not cutting it anymore. He will forever be an Eagles legend. He will forever be welcomed back into the link and be respected as one of the best defensive players in recent history. But he just doesn't have it anymore. Like you
Yeah.
said, Jalen Carter is in his rookie year, and as much of a monster as he is, he's getting double teamed. Josh Sweat can't do everything. I mean, you have the depth guys who barely get any pressure, like Tui Pilato, Ajomo, whatever. And then Reddick half the time, like I saw it in the Giants game, Reddick was being forced to drop into coverage a lot. And
Yeah.
that's been happening
Matt Patricia is actually brain dead for doing that. Hassan Reddick failed his in Arizona because they did that.
Yeah,
They are causing like when did you see Hassan Reddick last year drop into coverage?
I know. Never. The thing too where you run into a problem is like some of it I don't even think was Patricia. Like I was listening to Merrill Reese on my way home from coaching, and he was talking about how the Giants offense was doing a good job of Tyrod was motioning players and changing and audibling and all these things that made Hassan go into coverage, or else it would have been a wide open receiver. So I think it's kind of half Patricia and half just the offense. But my concern is if the Giants can do it,
Why
I
can't the
mean,
Bucks?
why can't the Bucks? Why can't the 49ers? And why can't they do it much better than the Giants did?
Well,
The
Brian
Giants
Daboll's
found
Brian
success with
Daboll's
it.
a smart coach.
He is.
I don't who's the Buccaneers coach? Todd Bowles? No. It's
Oh,
the other guy.
I know who you're talking about. Why can't I think of his name? I'm gonna look it up. His name's
That's what
yeah,
I'm
it is
gonna
Todd
do.
Bowles. It is Todd
Is
Bowles.
it Todd Bowles?
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
gonna say I thought it was.
I think Todd Bowles is a defensive coach, and their offensive coordinator has been very bad this year. So maybe the Buccaneers don't do that, but there shouldn't be flaws in your team where teams are figuring it out. And it was Sean Desai, and it was Matt. It's definitely Matt Patricia.
Yeah.
Matt Patricia. I mean, the first two games the Eagles played under Matt Patricia were what? The Seahawks game, and then who else? The Giants.
I believe
It
so.
was
Yeah.
Seattle and the Giants. The Seattle game, the defense was really good. The one glaring flaw I saw in the Seattle game was that Matt Patricia's playing man to man, and James Bradbury doesn't like playing man to man. And I
Yes.
know the argument is you're an NFL corner, you should play whatever you're told to. But if you're not good at man to man and you can't figure out man to man, but you're a star corner, you need to you need to the defensive coordinator needs to do a play where you play zone, but it shouldn't be that soft zone that they all stand around and leave gaps wide open. They need people that are like I could play better coverage in Madden
Yeah.
than the Eagles offense than the Eagles defense does, and I don't play Madden like that.
Yeah. What's crazy is, I mean, I think the matchup of the game is going to be Dave Canales versus Matt Patricia, which is crazy that that's what I think the matchup is going to be.
Considering
Because
Brian Johnson.
as sad as it is to say, the Eagles offense, you know what it's going to be. You know what the Eagles offense is going to be. It's not what we want it to be, but you know it's going to happen. So it's going to come down to whether we can run that effectively, but we already know what it's going to be. Dave Canales, OC for the Bucks, he's a young coordinator. He's gotten the most out of Baker. So I'm going to be interested to see what he cooks up to beat the Eagles defense and more if Matt Patricia can stop it. I'm kind of less worried about whatever Canales throws at us and more worried about if we can stop whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be at this point, I don't even know if the defense would stop just blatant runs up the middle, which they
Yeah.
haven't recently.
The last thing I want to talk about the Eagles before we get into the last topic
Yeah.
is I want to do a score prediction.
All right.
And I
I'll do
want you
that.
to make it's kind of like how Eagles pre I want to do it kind of how Eagles pregame live does it where they guess a score and then they do a hot take and
Mhm.
say what player they think is going to do what. So I'll let you go first.
Um, hmm. This is tough because I don't want to be too negative, but
You can pick the Eagles to lose. It's okay.
I just can't. I don't know if I can see the offense coming together. And I don't think the defense has
I'm more
enough to
worried about the
carry.
defense than the
I
offense.
just don't think the defense has enough to put the game in their hands, and the offense has just been stagnant. I think I am going to take the Eagles to win this week. I'm going to take them to win 24-20.
Okay.
And my hot take is I think we see a lot of good things from Kenny Gainwell this game.
Can you give a stat like a stat that he might have?
I think he definitely gets into the end zone at least one time.
Okay.
Now, I would even go as far to say it's going to be a receiving touchdown.
Okay. I can see that happening. I'm going to go with 21-16 Eagles.
Okay.
I think I don't think the defense has a good game, but I think the Buccaneers are going to more beat themselves
Okay.
than
I
the
could definitely see
Eagles are
that
going to
happening.
beat the Buccaneers. My hot take is that AJ Brown has 6 catches and over 100 yards.
Okay.
He hasn't had over 100 yards since that crazy streak.
Yeah.
All right. Last thing I want to talk about, just I mean, wild week in sports in general.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick's fired, Mike Vrabel's fired, Pete Carroll's fired, Nick Saban retires.
Yeah, what
That those
happened this
are
week?
yeah. I mean, obviously everybody knows everything about the Patriots and Alabama as well. Pete Carroll was an unbelievable coach, but
Yeah.
the story is now was Pete Carroll late in his Seahawks tenure carried by Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I've seen, I mean, we could start there. I've seen a lot of things about Pete Carroll. Like, I am happy Pete Carroll is staying with the Seahawks. He's going to be an advisor. I just can't see the Seahawks without him as head coach. And I know that doesn't necessarily mean that he shouldn't have been fired, but I have seen a lot of opinions from Seahawks fans that they didn't want him to go, that he very clearly wasn't the problem. And I mean, I don't know how I feel. Obviously, I don't know. Like, I'm not a Seahawks fan. I follow the NFL, so I don't know too much in depth, but I don't necessarily know if they needed to change a head coach. What do you think about it?
I think they did. I just Seattle had this thing where they couldn't hold leads, and if they made every score a one, they made every game a one score game. They couldn't get out of their own way, and I think that causes for coaching changes. Considering I mean, Geno Smith was very good, and I think he's going to continue to be good. But I don't think it has anything to do with Pete Carroll. I think it has everything to do with just the offense. And I think
That's a
Pete
fair take.
Carroll's game planning was starting to get predictable.
I could definitely see that. And I mean, again, that comes with time. Is all of that his fault?
No.
Probably not. I mean, it's hard to just completely change your coaching style. So when you're a coach in the league for so long, I mean, eventually they're going to figure it out. But
Yeah.
that was interesting as well. But I am glad he's staying with the Seahawks. That makes me feel a little bit better
Yeah.
because I
And
mean, I can't see him not a Seahawk.
yeah.
So
Alabama, I think, is going to fall apart because I think all their recruits and all their players are going to transfer because that's how the college football works. I don't even want to talk about it because it makes me so angry how college football is with the transfer
yeah,
portal. So I'm just going to skip over that. Mike Vrabel, though, it wasn't a shocking firing. It was more shocking how badly the Titans fell off. They were the 1 seed 2 years ago.
I mean, one thing I will say is, in my opinion, Titan's going to Titan. I don't think Vrabel was the problem at all.
No.
Like that is just
They
unbelievable to
were
me.
injured to hell. They had Ryan Tannehill at QB.
I mean,
I
he
mean,
turned a terrible team into a pretty good team.
he made
Obviously not
Ryan
great.
Tannehill look like an MVP candidate.
Yes. And I mean, it sucks for the Titans because they made so many terrible trades and now they're losing their head coach and Derrick Henry. Like they're going to be bad again.
And probably, I would even go as far to say Nuke Hopkins isn't there next year.
Yeah. And I know that there's more candidates, but like you're gonna fire Vrabel and then move to guys like Brian Johnson or other like offensive coordinators in the
That would
league.
be somehow that would be a downgrade.
Nothing was wrong with Vrabel. I don't know why you don't keep him as head. He's proven that he can take a terrible team and win,
Yeah.
which is exactly what's going to happen next year.
And
They're going to be
again,
terrible
like
next year.
people want to bring up last year and how he didn't make the playoffs last year and they blew it last year. They were like 7-3. But come on now. Like they were so injured. Tannehill
Yes.
was hurt. They were playing Josh Dobbs at quarterback
Yes.
before Dobbs
Before his
became
Linsanity
before
run.
his Linsanity run. They were playing pre-Linsanity Josh Dobbs at quarterback and expected to make the playoffs. And it just doesn't work like that. Will Levis was hurt this year too when they were trying to push for the playoffs. But like that game against Miami is the game that I will keep bringing up
Hmm.
in defense of Mike Vrabel. They were down 28-13, or what was it, 27-13, with like 3 minutes left, and they came back and won. That's a good culture. Like that, it was a
Yeah.
good culture, and now it's all gone because of two lost seasons.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it was a little too far, to be honest. I would have definitely kept Vrabel. I will touch on the Alabama thing a little bit. I'll go back to that. I don't want to talk too much about it, but I do think Alabama did the best thing they could. They immediately found a replacement. So
Did they?
Alabama,
Who's their replacement?
Kalen DeBoer, who's the Washington coach.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I don't follow college football too much, but I do know that he took a pretty meh to poor Washington program and led them to the
To
national
the national
championship.
championship.
So I do think this obviously is anybody ever going to be Nick Saban? Probably not.
No, never.
But I mean, if Nick Saban's going to retire, you have to find a new coach. And I think they did get the hire right. And I think the best thing for them to do was to get it done quickly so they don't lose too many recruits. A lot, I know as a college athlete, this happens a lot. I saw it with after my freshman year. I played Division III soccer, by the way, for everybody. So obviously not as crazy. But after my freshman year, we had our coach leave and we had a new coach coming in, and it was a lot of like crazy things happening. A lot of things were uncertain just because it's an entirely new staff. So, I mean, you can imagine how crazy it would be at Alabama football. You get tons of 4 and 5 star recruits who had 30 offers that now have to consider everything. But you bring that new coach in right away, and if there are still people who players that were set on playing for Alabama because of Nick Saban, yeah, they might go. But I mean, you have a coach that just led a team to a national championship. So it's not like you're in that terrible state of like, oh, I need to transfer because we don't have a coach. Like I know that Alabama's receiver, Isaiah Bond, entered the transfer portal, but I mean, they have so many receivers, they should be fine. So
Yeah,
I think they're going to keep their core of their team. Are they going to be as good? Probably
probably
not.
not.
But I still think that they're going to be pretty elite. I don't think it's
Yeah.
going to fall off too much.
And the last thing we'll talk about is Bill Belichick. Probably be quick because I mean
Yeah.
the Patriots have already hired what Gerard Mayo is his
Yeah,
name. Um, Great hire by the Patriots, by the
I
way. I
agree.
think that's a great hire. I think that he could turn them around. It was Bill's time. Everybody knew. He
Yeah, it
knew.
was.
I knew. Everybody around the league knew. Um, he's not done coaching.
I think
I
that's crazy to
I
me.
have been saying that he is going to go to the Commanders because I think Josh Harris is the guy to do that.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. A lot of people were rumoring him to the Falcons as well. My thing with Bill is I can't see him anywhere else. Like, do you really think he's going to go somewhere
It's
else?
like Brady.
It is exactly like Brady. That's which is crazy. It's exactly like Brady.
Yeah. I I think the Commanders are going to do that. I've heard other people say that as well, but it'll be interesting to see. I really don't have anything else to say because I mean that was the one that we saw coming.
Yeah, I'd just be interested to see like how he does with another team. You know what I mean? Because he's had the same play style with the same team for so long. Like, I'm interested to see if he can translate that into a new environment. And I will go back to Mayo. I think that that is a great hire. Um,
100% it is.
if you look at it and you were to tell me that the Patriots were going to keep their new head coach in house and they weren't going to go out and get anybody, I would probably tell you were crazy. But as far as Jaron Mayo goes, I think that's a great hire. He's a young coach, but he's fired up. He loves the team. I'll say that. He loves the team. He played in the NFL. He played for the Patriots. So you have
Yeah,
that going for you right there. And I think he is going to be successful. I am rooting for him. I hope he
I am
becomes
too.
successful. I love seeing
As
like,
much as I don't like the Patriots, it would be a great story for them to turn it around.
yeah, I love seeing young coaches who played for the team coaching and end up being successful. Like I'm going to be so mad if the Raiders don't hire Antonio Pierce.
Oh my God. I did he play for the Raiders? I thought he played for the Giants.
Yeah, he played for the Giants, but just like a player who came in who's fired up and is leading the team. But the Raiders better get moving on it because I know the Titans requested to interview him as a head coach.
Yeah, they have some competition.
So they better get going on that. And it would be the most Raiders thing to do if they let him go
Yeah,
because they've already done it.
100%.
So
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't think I have anything else to talk about.
no, we're good. I think we covered everything.
So I appreciate everybody that listened. If you made it to this point, you are truly Bobby Brink Fan Club's top fans. Um, but honestly, if you made it to this point, I want you to send me this exact message. Send me BBFC4L. Send it to me if you made it to this point. Watch it all the way through, and I'll shout you out on the story or something. I don't know.
Yes, sir. Instagram
Um,
shout out.
but yeah, I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys. Make sure you stay tuned. Appreciate you listening. Catch you next week.